Frid Shalom, välkommen till morgonsändningen den 12. Och jag ska läsa härifrån Jeremia 31 och 1 och ett par verser. På den tiden, säger Herren, ska jag vara Gud för alla Israels släkter och de ska vara mitt folk. Så säger Herren, det folk som kommer undan svärdet finner nåd i öknen. Israel får gå dit där jag ger det ro. Fjärran ifrån uppenbarade sig Herren för mig. Med evig kärlek har jag älskat dig. Därför låter jag min nåd förbliva över dig. Än en gång ska jag upprätta dig så att du blir upprättad, du jungfru Israel. Än en gång ska du ta din tamburin och dra ut i dans bland dem som är glada. Än en gång ska du få plantera vingårdar på Samariens berg. Och de som planterar ska själva få njuta av frukten. Ty en dag kommer då väktare ska dra upp på Efraims berg. Kom, låt oss dra upp till Sion, upp till Herren vår Gud. Ty så säger Herren, jubla i glädje över Jakob. Höj fröjderop över honom som är den främste bland folket. Brist ut i lovsång och säg, fräls Herre, kvarlevan, eller det folk som finns kvar av Israel. Återigen, där vi brukar säga att Israels frälsning är en garanti för uppståndelsen från de döda, säger ju Paulus i Romarbrevet 11. Och det är ju underbart att få be för Israel och be för Jerusalem. För vi vet att vår Herre är på väg och han ska upprätta hela himlen och hela jorden. Och ge åt sitt folk som tror på honom en evig arvedel. Halleluja, det är något att hoppas och vänta på. Här följer det då lite klipp, news, flash bland annat. Och sen har vi en Pinto idag så han förklarar vad som händer och lite bilder och så då. Gud välsigna er, så hörs vi under dagen. Amen.
Where in the Gaza Strip. I'm Yair Pinto reporting to you from Israel. The IDF spokesperson's unit announced that IDF forces have completed the takeover of Palestine Square in the Gaza Strip. This square includes governmental buildings of Hamas and a vast underground terror tunnel that reached all the way to the Shifa Medical Center. The IDF is focusing its attention in the southern part of the Gaza Strip, in the area of Kad el-Bad and Khan Yunis, and the Israeli Air Force is investing efforts to locate and target Hamas terrorists and installations in these areas. It appears as if these locations have a strategic value for Hamas because its terrorists are fighting hard against the Israeli troops in trying to hold their grounds. After 24 hours of intense fightings, the IDF was able to knock down a main communication route of Hamas. This caused Hamas's terrorists to give up on multiple locations and surrender to the Israeli troops. It appears as if Hamas is concerned about the morale of its terrorists in the Gaza Strip because it sees so many of them surrendering to Israel. And for the first time since the 23rd of November, Abu Abeida, a Hamas official, issued a statement praising the Hamas organization for its military achievements against the IDF in the past 65 days since the war started. He also stated that Israel failed in its attempts to release the Israeli hostages and failed in the ceasefire. He made it clear that this statement was made in recent days by stating the day of the war and mentioning the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. This is another lie that Hamas is telling, this time to its own terrorists. It's a pathetic attempt to thwart the reality on the ground. Israel is controlling the majority of the northern part of Gaza, and more Hamas terrorists are surrendering every day. The remaining terrorists are hiding in underground terror complex without any ability to connect to the outside world. And this is the future for the southern part of Gaza and for Hamas there. The fighting against Hamas terrorists in Beit Lahia, which is another huge terror hub of this organization, is close to an end, as Hamas terrorists are running out of ammunition and weapons, and many of them are surrendering. But the IDF still is on high alert, because Hamas terrorists can still pop out of underground terror locations and hiding positions. In the neighborhood of Kube, south of Gaza, the IDF is engaged in fierce battles against Hamas terrorists that are fresh because the IDF has not conducted operations in that area until now. The IDF has been working hard in dividing the Gaza Strip into strips of land, separating the terrorists from each other. After the IDF is defeating Hamas in one area, it is mobilizing its troops to carry out an attack against Hamas terrorists in another location. That's why, in the battle against the area of Jabalia, the IDF was able to bring additional forces from the area of Beit Lahia in order to conduct a joint operation to neutralize Hamas terrorists in that location. As Hamas is withdrawing its forces from areas it cannot hold anymore, it is always encountered by other IDF units. In Jabalia, Hamas terrorists withdrew and were quickly engaged by tank units from the coast of Gaza. The IDF is stationed throughout the entire Gaza Strip, and any attempt by Hamas terrorists to escape to the south is met by additional IDF forces. In the southern part of Gaza, according to reports, thousands of Hamas terrorists are still hiding underground in underground terror positions and pop out in order to carry out attacks against the IDF troops. The battle in the south is gonna be hard, and it already is taking lives on the Israeli sides, as more and more IDF troops are losing their lives in this war against Hamas, and the majority of them are between the ages of 18 to 21. But the IDF is not giving up, and their sacrifice is not for vain, because we are not stopping until we will destroy Hamas and return our hostages. In Israel's northern border, in the battle against Hezbollah, the Israeli Air Force, according to reports, conducted aerial strikes that targeted Hezbollah positions in Syria. The Syrian Defense Ministry stated that its aerial defense systems were able to neutralize the attacks, but that severe damage was caused to the infrastructure. The report further stated that the strikes targeted Hezbollah and Iranian militias that were located next to the Damascus International Airport in Syria. According to Lebanese reports, UNIFIL delivered a message on behalf of Israel to Hezbollah, stating that Israel sees any target 3 kilometers from its border with Lebanon as a legitimate target. Hezbollah responded by stating that if Israel will implement this new directive, Hezbollah will do the same on the Israeli side. The situation on Israel's northern front is very fragile, and Hezbollah and the IDF are on high alert because it appears as if both sides do not want to escalate into a full-on war, but any wrong move can lead to another escalation. The IDF spokesperson's unit released a recording of Yusuf El-Mansri, Hamas's communications minister in the Gaza Strip, during his investigation in Israel. He stated that Hamas is destroying the Gaza Strip and taking it back 200 years. He also said that the people in Hamas are crazy and that they are following Yahya Sinwar. Yusuf stated that people in the Gaza Strip do not like Yahya Sinwar and that Hamas is responsible for the destruction of 60% of the infrastructure and buildings in the Gaza Strip. When asked about Yahya Sinwar, Hamas's leader, he stated that nobody in Gaza likes him and that he only likes himself and takes actions without consulting with anyone. Hamas is a terror organization that does not care about the well-being of its own people or the future of the Gaza Strip. This is the truth. I know that if you're not here in Israel, it's very hard to understand the reality, mainly because the international media is not telling the truth about what's going on and does not share the full picture. And that's why I need your help. I need your help in sharing what is happening in Israel.
Of northern Israel, showing the Israeli Iron Dome air defense system working to intercept rockets that were fired from Lebanon. Now, if you watched my update last night, I reported that Israel has apparently given Lebanon an ultimatum of 48 hours to tell Hezbollah to move their forces back from the border with Israel. And if they don't do that, then Israel's going to go in and do it themselves. Okay, they're asking Lebanon to tell Hezbollah, go back to the location that was agreed upon by the UN Resolution 1701. So we could be on the verge of a major war breaking out in Lebanon between Israel and Hezbollah, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's why Biden signed the emergency order to sell Israel 14,000 tank shells over the weekend. 14,000 tank shells, guys. You don't need that many tank shells to deal with a bunch of terrorists hiding in tunnels, okay? 14,000 tank shells is what you need if you're going to war with another country or a major military power. So I think Israel's going to go into Lebanon. They have no choice, okay? Because Hezbollah is continuing to launch rockets into northern Israel, and it's a threat to the Israeli people that are living there. They can't just let that continue on like that. Strange. And speaking of Russia, we have food lines coming back in Russia. What you're looking at here is a line of people waiting to get eggs. Okay, this is in southwestern Russia in the city of Belgorod. Massive line, people waiting in line to get eggs. I mean, this is really crazy to see in 2023. This looks like 1970 in Soviet Russia. There were massive lines for food in the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc. This was a common occurrence. And now we're starting to see this come back. And, you know, what's funny is a lot of the people in Russia that support the war against Ukraine, they idolize the old Soviet times. And they were wishing that, you know, Russia would become like the Soviet Union again. Well, be careful what you wish for, because now these same people that, you know, were wishing that, oh, we want the Soviet Union back. Well, now you have it. Now you're...
Därefter kom Herrens ord till Abraham i en syn. Han sade, frukta inte, Abraham. Jag är din sköld. Din lön ska bli mycket stor. Men Abraham sade, Herre, Herre, vad ska du ge mig? Jag går ju bort barnlös, och arvinge till mitt hus är Eliezer från Damaskus. Abraham sade vidare: Se, mig har du inte givit någon avkomma. En av mitt husfolk kommer att ärva mig. Men Herrens ord kom till honom: Denne skall inte ärva dig, utan en som kommer från din egen kropp ska bli din arvinge. Sedan förde han honom ut och sade: Se upp mot himlen och räkna stjärnorna, om du kan räkna dem. Och han sade till honom: Så ska din avkomma bli. Och Abraham trodde på Herren, och han räknade honom det till rättfärdighet.